path forward to us. To I, Nicola.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most challenging boss battles over the last 25 years. Keep in mind, we will be including DLCs as their own entry, if necessary. Ozma, Final Fantasy IX. In the pantheon of super bosses found across the Final Fantasy franchise, few fill us with as much dread as this blinding ball of difficulty. Should you manage to navigate the hefty prerequisites, you'll find yourself given the chance to take on Ozma. And trust us, it is not going to make things easy for you. Not only does it have some absurd attacks under its non-existent belt, such as Meteor and level 5 Death, but it will never use an elemental attack that can be absorbed or negated. Let's stack up on those Phoenix Downs. A lot of them. Omega, Dead or Alive 3. Early fighting game bosses are known for their cheapness and tendency to abuse the limits of what the player character can do. Omega easily slips into that bracket. First things first, what is up with this camera angle? You're liable to get disorientated by the sudden shift in view before Omega cheap shots you from afar. And yes, he does have projectiles. From fire to lightning to shockwaves, unless you're quick to roll your fighter out of the way, you can easily find yourself knocked to the floor, primed for a follow-up attack. It's a cycle of punishment that Omega loves to exploit. Sephiroth, Kingdom Hearts. Leaping out of Final Fantasy and into the role of secret boss, the one-winged angel is waiting for those who dare to try and best the Olympic Coliseum's platinum match. As expected, Sephiroth is a beast, carrying over his moveset from the beloved JRPG into the hack-and-slash medium. Aside from having immense reach with his sword and being able to summon his signature supernova on the fly, the real danger stems from his Heartless Angel technique, which can instantly reduce Sora's HP and MP to their minimum. Not even Disney can quell Sephiroth's propensity for slaughter. Darth Malak, Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic.
I will do the same to you. You will be trapped in a terrible existence between life and death.
Whether you follow the path of the Jedi or wholly embrace the dark side, this Sith Lord is still going to cause you no end of trouble. Malak's attack and defense are the highest in the game, and depending on your stats, will be able to devastate you with his flurries. Along with his force immunity and lightning, he also has 8 captive Jedi that he can use to replenish himself. Unless you're quick to save or kill them yourself, then this Duel of the Fates is one you are destined to lose. The end. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
Do you hear me, Snake? I am the end.
This ancient sniper is perpetually a step away from death's door. Not that it will stop him from riddling you with bullets. Able to camouflage himself and seemingly shoot Snake down from any angle, locating the end's hiding spot is just as much of a challenge as getting in a shot of your own. It's a meticulous and borderline arduous process that will force you to play by his rules, as opposed to running and gunning your way to victory. That is, of course, if you didn't take the coward's way out of preemptively shooting the end in an earlier level, or changing your game console's internal clock to kill the geezer via old age.
I can return to the form of Allah.
Vergil, Devil May Cry 3, Dante's Awakening.
Unfortunately, our souls are at odds, brother. I need more power.
Dante's brother is a lot of things. Effortlessly cool, callous and cynical, and possibly the hardest boss of his generation. The speed at which he can deal damage is insane, made all the worse by his ability to parry, counter, and bust out his own devil trigger as swiftly as his sibling. Just when you might think you've finally worn him down and got to grips with his attack patterns, he'll ramp everything up to 11 and fill the screen with his judgment cuts. Like with anything Vergil related, it is all too easy to be overwhelmed. Nyx Avatar, Persona 3. "14 phases. 14! In the long history of Persona and Shin Megami Tensei bosses, few struck fear into the hearts of players quite like this nightmarish Endbringer. Just when you might think you've got a read on its weaknesses and strengths, it will shift to a new tarot card and switch it all up, forcing you to readjust your tactics on the fly, made all the worse by Persona 3's brutal fatigue system. Unless you prepared beforehand, this boss is going to be an unforgiving gauntlet. Zeus, God of War 2. The God of Thunder takes no prisoners. After Kratos fights through time and fate to take another crack at eliminating his father, the Kingpin of Olympus demonstrates why he's the top of the Pantheon. First, he grows to the size of a mountain, sending out bolts and shockwaves, all the while summoning a horde of sirens for you to contend with. Things arguably get even more difficult when Zeus returns to normal size, since he's either going to beat your Spartan ass all around the arena with fisticuffs, or steal the Blade of Olympus for himself. The Hunter, Dead Space. A derelict spaceship filled with mutated creatures made from corpses was hellish enough, but then along came this unkillable monster to further ruin Isaac Clarke's day. An entity crafted by the zealous unitologists, the Hunter is essentially a super necromorph. You can shoot off its limbs, you can freeze it in place, but it will always regrow what it's lost and resume the chase. It's not until the final stages of the game that you'll have the chance to incinerate it, but even that's far easier said than done. Rodin, Bayonetta. Between heaven and hell, there's no greater weaponsmith than Rodin. Supplying Bayonetta with armaments and cheesy dialogue, he's one of the Umbra Witch's most trusted confidants. He's also a hidden boss that can be fought across all 3 games in the series. In his first incarnation, Rodin takes on an angelic guise, which is fitting because this man dishes out divine punishment like nobody else. His main attack may just consist of dashes and punches, but getting hit even once can spell your doom. Best dodge like your life depends on it, because Father Rodin doesn't believe in turning the other cheek. Zeus, God of War 3.
It has everything to do with her! Put her down! As you wish.
That's right, he's back, and now he's hitting harder than ever. The final clash between father and son amidst the ruins of Olympus is pure hype. Despite players being armed with an outrageous assortment of godly weaponry, Zeus is still the biggest challenge of the original trilogy. The first phase of the fight acts as a borderline 2D beat-em-up, with Zeus lashing out with lightning, teleportation, and some lethal haymakers to knock Kratos down for the count. This eventually shifts to the inside of the Titan Gaia. While you certainly have more room to move here, Zeus will also clone himself. Lag your attacks for too long, and he'll smite you where you stand. Ornstein and Smough, Dark Souls. As you might have guessed, there's going to be a lot of bosses related to the Souls series among this collection. Starting with what might just be the franchise's most iconic duo. Attacking in unison, both the Executioner and Dragon Slayer offer two distinct yet equally grueling challenges. While one will use their size and scale to crush you, the other is faster and can unleash lightning from afar. Of course, even after you cut down one of them, the trouble is just beginning, on account that the other will take the Fallen's power for themselves. There's no easy choice here, only pain and persistence. Manus, Father of the Abyss. Dark Souls, Artorias of the Abyss. We told you, the Souls train isn't stopping anytime soon. Dark Souls' first ever DLC took everyone's chosen undead into the heart of its corrupted world, presenting them with its greatest hero and villain. The latter of which just happens to be the hardest boss in the original game, bar none. Manus is a towering foe who deals immense physical and magical damage in equal measure. This would go on to become something of a trend in Souls games going forward. DLC bosses are a whole different breed and not to be messed with. Senator Armstrong, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. He's the ultimate American, and for the sake of rebuilding the nation, he's going to lay the smackdown on Rodin and anyone else who gets in his way. Not only is Armstrong the meme that keeps on giving, but his battle is one of Metal Gear's most demanding. Even with Rodin's sword skills and speed, Armstrong's blows are devastating. Unless you're adept with parries and dodges, he's going to beat the nanomachines out of you each and every time. He can shave off attacks like they're nothing, has crazy health, and played college ball. Best watch out. Fume Knight, Dark Souls 2, Crown of the Old Iron King. Fans certainly had their issues when it came to this sequel, but everyone was in agreement that this DLC boss was the most lethal of the bunch. While you might not think much of yet another armoured knight in a Souls game, it's when this corrupted warrior goes all out with his ultra greatsword that things get gnarly. Given the range of the lethal smog it exudes and the skewness of its hitbox, the Fume Knight proved to be unexpectedly punishing. Orphan of Kos, Bloodborne, the Old Hunters. It says a lot when a DLC as packed with insanely difficult bosses as this still has one that definitively overshadows all others. And that would be this monstrosity, born of the dead remnants of an eldritch god. Wielding its own placenta like a club, the Orphan is about as unrelenting as they come, able to pile on crazy amounts of damage in a flash. And that's all before you really piss it off and it starts bombarding the shoreline with projectiles, lightning, and unholy explosions aplenty. All these years later, and it still finds a way to inspire fear. Nameless King, Dark Souls 3. The discovery of Archdragon Peak already had fans beyond excited. What could be lurking within such a well-hidden area? The answer turned out to be a boss fight that broke everyone. The Nameless King not only proved to be a pinnacle piece of lore as Gwyn's forsaken son, but also a boss battle that put all others in the base game to shame. Atop his wyvern, he can blanket the arena in flame, but it's when he decides to settle things mano-y-mano that the difficulty really spikes. The askew timings of his strikes and swings, the AoE lightning attacks, get caught by any one of these, and it's likely the battle's already over. Darkeater Midir, Dark Souls 3, The Ringed City. The conclusion to the original Dark Souls saga was rife with some of the most formidable foes ever conjured. But none could hold a candle to what just might be the singularly most difficult dragon boss in all of gaming. Its teeth, claws and tail alone can tear through an ash of one's health in no time at all. But when you pair that with its sheer amount of health, the scope of its flame breath and its abyssal projectiles, Midir proved itself a mountain of an obstacle to overcome. Absolute Radiance, Hollow Knight, Godmaster. Upon its debut, this hidden final boss put everyone through their paces thanks to a combination of intense platforming, minimal attack windows, and spamming abilities that would fill the screen at any given moment. It was the truest test for those dead set on getting the best ending. And then along came the Godmaster DLC, where they decided to give the Radiance the most intense of glow-ups. The platforming, even more treacherous. Its attacks, twice as many, twice as fast. Openings to counter? Ha! What openings? Don't be shocked if this heavenly moth makes you see the light, and subsequently break your controller. Isshin the Sword Saint, Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Mastering Sekiro's style of combat and navigating its pool of bosses is one thing. Trying to square off against the likes of Isshin in his prime is another matter entirely. Thanks to the dying wishes of his grandson combined with the Black Mortal Blade, Isshin is resurrected, now at his apex. What follows is several stages of gamer grief, as the Sword Saint won't only test your parry skills to their maximum, but will quite literally bring the thunder thanks to dual wielding a spear in his second phase that can catch lightning. It's still up for debate who truly is the most challenging boss FromSoft has developed, but Isshin at the very least is in the conversation for top dog. Super Tyrant, Resident Evil 2. Nothing filled players with dread quite like the approaching footsteps of Mr. X. This walking weapon was unstoppable, hunting down Leon and Claire all throughout the majority of the game, only able to be stunned with a shotgun blast to the face. This all comes to a head during the final portion of Leon's side of the campaign, where Mr. X has swapped the trench coat out for a vicious evolution, complete with a mutated claw and a serious amount of aggression. What truly ups the difficulty here is the layout of the fight. You're stuck on a descending platform with barely any space between Leon and the Super Tyrant. Throw in a tiny weak spot and limited ammo on hand, and this encounter has the odds stacked against you from the get-go. Ravenbeak, Metroid Dread. Samus has vanquished all manner of alien scourge in her time as the galaxy's greatest bounty hunter, but who would have guessed her ultimate challenge would have been her dear old dad? After manipulating her journey from the start, Ravenbeak makes himself known, with plans to use Samus for his own nefarious gains. He's also the furthest thing from all bark and no bite, as this mechanical chozo is a walking armory with no end of weaponry to his name. From launching giant energy waves to miniature suns, Ravenbeak leaves no margin for error and no room to breathe. Malenia, Blade of Miquella, Elden Ring. She has never known defeat, but she sure as hell knows how to dish it out. Every tarnished worth their salt was trepidatious when rumours began to circulate of this demigod. As we all learned firsthand, Malenia was a million times more dangerous than we could ever imagine. Every strike not only did a serious amount of damage, but also healed her. And that's to say nothing of her now infamous waterfowl dance. Keep in mind this is all phase 1. After she unleashes her true strength as the goddess of rot, she not only has all her previous skills at her disposal, but can unleash waves of scarlet rot. Malenia is just built different.
Your strength. Extraordinary.
Laxasia the Complete, Lies of P. Standing on the shoulders of Soulsborne giants, this brutally brilliant take on the classic Pinocchio tale left us with no shortage of fearsome foes to best, though none could compare to the brutality of this particular puppet. Able to swing her towering sword with shocking ease, Laxasia's rampages can only be survived if you're a beast with the parry mechanic, or get the hell out of dodge. Though not even that will save you when she loses the armor in exchange for acting as a lightning rod, able to send out as many thunderbolts as she does impeding status effects.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Promised Consort Radahn, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. As if From Software wouldn't find a way to repeat history, delivering onto us a DLC boss of such magnitude and ridiculous difficulty that many are still yet to conquer it. Radahn's return isn't only epic in terms of presentation and lore, but it also proved that just when we thought we had a grasp on how trying a Souls boss can be, along comes this ungodly warrior ready to rip us into pieces. His sword slashes are as fast as they are hefty. He's got blood and gravity magic on standby. He's built like a tank, while Phase 2 also adds lasers to literally everything. Plus, an insta-kill move courtesy of Miquella, just for good measure. We have no doubt they'll accomplish it, but we have no idea how you top this. Which of these bosses proved to be the bane of your existence? Let us know in the comments.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.